This is another episode of the Flight Ringers podcast. I'm David King. That's Dan Spottswood.
It's good to be here. Thank you.
We are professional cartoonists, and we are Legion of Superheroes experts. This time around, we're looking at Action Comics number 380. It has a Superman story to begin with. The Legion comic is by Shooter, Win Mortimer, and Jack Abel, if I remember right.
That sounds right. This is the homeless era of the Legion between the end of Adventure Comics and they're taking over Superboy's title. So they've been relegated to backups for about a year, I think.
If I recall, I looked at this on comics.org. I think they began in action in 377, and it was a reprint. So for real, they started in 378, which is maybe like 2 or 3 months after Adventure 380, their last story there.
Right.
And also on comics.org, it said that it gave Jim Shooter an art credit, like he did layouts on this.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me.
I don't know where they get that information. Maybe it's from Shooter himself on his blog or something, is where people find out about that.
I think he did quite a few of those. Like when he first came to DC, he had no idea how to write a script other than to do rudimentary versions of those comics. So I think only a few have been credited, but there are quite a few more that he at least did kind of breakdowns for.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know, I got to admit, this comic, it looks great. Like the color in this one, it's like real saturated. It's really, it's really registered well, I guess, but it's really like juicy color. I really like how this looks. Like this is a perfect looking old comic book to me.
Yeah.
And the Superman art, according to the website, was by Kurt Swan and George Roussos, who, like, I recognize his name. I don't know a lot about his artwork, but this mix, it looks good. I like how this Superman comic looks.
For my money, this is prime DC. I like this sort of period where they're sort of transitioning between the Silver Age and the Bronze Age. So the stories they're a little more Marvelish, a little more clever, a little more continuity based, but they still have that kind of Kurt Swan 60s charm to them. They kind of straddle those two worlds. They're a little bit of the best of both worlds, in my opinion.
Yeah, I should say this is 1969.
Mm-hmm.
Editor credit is here in the Indicia. Weisinger, Bridwell is assistant editor, and then Infantino is the editorial director. He's the boss.
Mm-hmm.
This one is about what duo damsels. She splits into two people, and one of them gains a different personality than the other. Up to now, they had the same personality, but some wild experience, I guess, causes her to get a separate personality, which is new, right?
Yes, and it's kind of crazy that it's new. I mean, that she'd been around so long and they'd never thought to explore this, but they're actually like putting more thought into the characters and what it would be like to actually have two bodies. And I think it's more of that kind of Marvel approach.
Yeah, did somebody say to Shooter, it's like, you need to give these characters some personality? And he's like, oh yeah.
Right.
I'll literally do a comic about her personality.
Yeah, and like I think she's a very interesting character, and the ability to replicate yourself is very interesting. But you see over and over, like in the 60s, them talking about what a worthless character she is. Like they just couldn't conceive of an interesting way to use her, which seems ridiculous now.
I mean, going up against supervillains like two non-superpowered girls or three, yeah. I mean, I kind of can see the limitation, but but yeah. I mean, still, you can do something with anybody, right?
Well, I think we even see in here like how she can sort of avoid being shot by like splitting right as the bullet hits her on one of these pages, and I think they use that to great effect, especially on the cartoon later.
Oh, was she in the cartoon? Yeah, she was, huh?
She's one of the main characters.
Really good artwork on this.
Absolutely.
This team up of Mortimer and Abel. Yeah, we both love it. And this blast here, this is the scene you're just talking about where she splits in two to avoid being shot. They do this kind of it's not dry brush, but this blast has some brushy black with a burst in the middle. It's very cool looking.
Mm-hmm.
Some kind of neat skyline of, I assume they're still in Metropolis. And here she's meeting up with the corpulent combatant bouncing boy.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't read these most recently enough to know if they really had a relationship prior to this, but this is the seeds of the romance between Duo Damsel and Bouncing Boy.
It's a good question. I thought they did, but maybe not. Maybe they're not official yet. They were sort of getting closer towards the end of the adventure run for sure. She makes some reference. She tells them to call her parents for her. I guess they don't necessarily have to be together to do that. Oh, they're holding hands in a panel.
Yeah, he talks about, like, I don't know, like they have a standing date, and or it's just a foregone conclusion that they're going to go to the ice cream shop together, to the movies. So I guess it would be a little bit presumptuous of him if they weren't already an item.
Right.
But yeah, so this is also something I've never experienced before, is that Duo Damsel splits in two, and one of them goes off on a mission and the other stays home. And she's going to be gone, back in a week.
You wonder if like a reader wrote in this idea, but it's like right out of like that Michael Keaton movie Multiplicity. Like, she's tired, she doesn't want to go on the mission. She's like, I know, I'll split in half and send you to go on the mission so I can relax.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a Prince and the Pauper kind of story.
Right, right.
When did that movie Parent Trap come out? You suppose they got the idea from that? That's like a late '60s movie.
Oh yeah,
maybe a little later.
Seems more likely, doesn't it?
Yeah, or Patty Duke or something.
Patty Duke. Yeah, I don't think they didn't play with that as much as they should have on the Patty Duke show. But yeah, I think everyone knew they were twins. She didn't like sneak her cousin in.
The one twin rockets off to go on this mission, and the other one stays home and goes on a date with Bouncing Boy. And
they do sort of sidestep the power issue that you kind of brought up a minute ago, because if only one of them's leaving, she's effectively powerless, and yet she's on the Legion. She still counts.
She's just like delivering some papers or something.
Yeah.
So she's a courier. So I guess you don't need any superpowers for that.
Yeah, this is before email, of course. Fax machines, probably.
And so they go back, but Mon-El shows up and he's like, "You got to come and do a mission with me and stop a masked man and woman with superpowers." And then they're interrupted, and I don't think they even go on that mission to stop those people before they're interrupted by.
Oh yeah,
the other Duo Damsel,
by who they're actually intending to go after.
Yeah, and this dude is named Namlor, or Namlor. Not sure.
Namlor.
They're about to get married. She's gone for a week. She's got a fiance now. A lot happened in that week, her wild week.
And their kids.
So he brings her back, but then he's got to take off. So they merge. Duo damsels merge back together. Monel whispers that he has to leave for a space mission. It's a secret.
Right. This is also the first time we learn about how when she remerges, how they sort of consolidate their memory, and she has to recombine with her other self to get caught up on what's happened.
Oh yeah, that's kind of interesting. That's like merging your hard drives.
Yeah, for sure.
And so in her sleep, she has a dream of, I guess she's dreaming of the stuff that happened to her other self, or to the self that was on the mission and fell in love with Namlor.
Probably just a coincidence, but it makes a lot of sense because sleeping and dreaming, particularly, is about memory consolidation. It's like its biological function.
And speaking of biological function, what's happening to her body here? He drew the waist up, and then realized that he wanted to, I don't know, give her longer legs or something. So she's just bent in half.
Did the editor not like that her legs were leading right to the guy standing over her's crotch area and told them to move it? Or is it like a last minute change?
Like, because it's not like you're fitting more information having them this way than if they were just straight. But yeah, maybe it is because it would look like he's gonna take advantage of her.
Right, right. It does seem like some kind of last minute change. I mean, I think he's too good a draftsman to have done that on accident.
Yeah, you would have figured that out, right, if you were drawing it. This guy Namlor, he says he's the hero of the planet Icaros. And he's given her another name, and she's like, okay, yeah, you're handsome. I'm going to let you call me Lilith. But we've never heard of this guy before or since, this big hero, Namlor. I don't even know if he was in Who's Who or anything, Who's Who in the Legion. He wasn't in Who's Who, of course.
Not to my knowledge.
Yeah. But kind of a big character, like who's going to marry a Legionnaire,
Right.
And he was a hero of another planet. Never saw him again. Yeah, totally would have been a good story when he comes back and he's like, listen. Yeah, I don't want to spoil the ending of the comic. We'll talk about what he could do when he comes back later. I love this wall in her. Is that on both pages? Like it looks like freaking Laughing back here in her bedroom. Pretty cool.
Right. I noticed that. It reminded me of Shrinking Violet, because she had a symbol like that in that color scheme later.
Yeah, do you think Shrinking Violet used Duo Damsel's wallpaper to make her costume?
Maybe she's sleeping in Shrinking Violet's bedroom. I don't know.
Oh.
Maybe there's like some single white female stuff going on. One's copying off the other.
Yeah, well, in that Mordru story, she seemed really jealous of Shadow Lass.
Right.
I wonder should Duo Damsel get 2 rooms?
In this story, it kind of seems like she'd need to.
Yeah. And it appears that she sleeps in her superhero costume, just takes off the belt and the cape to go to sleep.
Essentially fighting crime in her pajamas.
I mean, if they sleep in these costumes, they better have some unstable molecules in those, I guess.
Right. Yeah. On the previous page, you see her boots and her cape. Yeah, she just takes those off and goes straight to bed.
Here she's really leaning on Bouncing Boy. Stay near me until I figured this out. So sounds like Bouncing Boy's he's got it made.
He's got the charm.
And here's their monitor board. I think eventually, like, Giffen really soups it up and makes it really computery with all their symbols and stuff. This one, it's
got kind of this like a proto interlac too.
I guess so, yeah. It's nice. It's a nice office, or a nice, it's nice in there. I like it. Mid-century computer room.
Right.
look to it. And there's this big red thing in the foreground. I'm not sure what that's supposed to be. But they're going to go and check out the amalgamite refinery that's being robbed. Amalgamite's one of the rarest substances in the universe. Oh yeah, this is an interesting detail. It takes 100,000 tons of ore and this entire complex to produce a gram a day of amalgamite. And I guess you can buy it and sell it on, or you can steal it and sell it on the black market and make a fortune, as they do here. And I mean, they begin to confront this man and woman thief team, and they're all blacked out here. Any guesses on who they are?
I love the. I don't know that they're always. Some of the colors in the background might not be doing some of the drawings justice, but I really like his sort of faked technology, like architecture. Are we on, like on the bottom left there?
This stuff.
Right. It's kind of lost in that green, but
yeah, this would have looked really cool with a lot of colors, like if they'd kind of approached it the way they do this stuff in the Legion headquarters.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's all lost. Here it's dark green, here it's kind of brown.
Right.
And here it's all just in this light blue. But yeah, they went to some effort to draw some interesting looking stuff in this place.
Lots of silhouettes in here, but I guess that's to keep the mystery characters mysterious.
This is the amalgamite, but it kind of looks like she has a sandwich. And so, Duo Damsel shoots the woman robber, gets her in the leg, and then when they merge, she realizes that now her leg is wounded and that her other self, or her sister, is the criminal woman, right. Lilith. This is a good panel here of just her combing her hair, brushing her hair.
Yeah, I really like. I don't know if it's what the artist or the inker, but the way she's drawn all the way through this, very glamorous. It reminds me a lot of the fashion drawings of the period back before they used a lot of photographs in fashion advertising.
Yeah, they do a good job on her hair. Like she's got this kind of like the part in the middle of her hair.
Mm-hmm.
And this highlight back here on the back.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's got a good hairdo. I think that is like, it's an inker doing that. Good inking technique. But I don't know. I don't know what what he looks like under other inkers.
He tends to draw pretty girls. He and gosh, that Supergirl artist whose name I always forget, who used to draw Bilko.
Oh, Oxner, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is kind of like, when you said Supergirl, I thought you were going to say Sikowski.
Oh, right.
This style is kind of like the in-between step almost between Oxner and Sikowski.
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
So I guess she runs off once it's discovered that she's the villain thief. Lilith takes off, and then the good Luornu confides in Bouncing Boy, and they're gonna go get him. He's like, "We're gonna shoot him. Got a big gun here."
And they're talking about committing one of them to one of the Duo Damsels to psycho care.
Yeah, that was mentioned earlier in the strip too. I kind of forgot about that. This criminal that she's chasing at the beginning, they're going to rehabilitate him with psycho care, because does he explain why he stole the weapon? I don't know. It doesn't explain it, but I guess he's just a disgruntled employee, and he's out of his mind. The very first criminal that she catches when
not her fiance.
Right. This is the guy at the beginning of the story. She's going to commit him to psycho care.
Right.
to cure him, just as they plan to do with Lilith.
So one wonders, is that just a futuristic name for some kind of rehabilitation program, or is it something more Orwellian where they are doing brainwashing?
I thought it was just talk therapy.
It's like your web appointments. What are those called? The Skype appointments you have now for telemedicine. It's like telemedicine.
I mean, I guess they're planning to commit Lilith Durgo to psychocare,
right?
As if she's insane. But I guess I was thinking like this is an early appearance of a destigmatized, just going to therapy like we all ought to be doing.
Right. And what better way to destigmatize it than to call it psychocare just years after the movie Psycho?
Look, Jim Shooter's only 17.
Right. Or he could be, just a few years later, in the mid 80s, was it Mark Gernwald, the Squadron Supreme? Their whole book was about their decision to sort of benevolently take over the world and reprogram or brainwash all the villains was something that sounded a lot like psychocare.
Well, I think they did that in one of the Baxter series issues. It's when I think Lightning Lad is going to leave the group to raise his kids. And so the three founders sort of have a little reunion, and they go to some prison, and they're going to talk to the guy who tried to assassinate Brand way back. And they go in there, they're going to chat with him, and he has been rehabilitated this way with the brainwashing. And evidently they have a whole prison system where they take care of people like this. And that's the Orwellian,
right,
messed up way of doing things.
Yes.
Psychocare, I don't know. Reading this before, I kind of got the idea that it was more like less brainwashing and more just
therapy.
It's care. Yeah.
Yeah.
Putting the care into psychocare.
Right. You are an optimist. I like your optimistic take.
Yeah.
I guess this is sort of before dark futures became sort of the norm.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Twilight Zone, dark, scary future.
Yeah, this is an optimistic world that Jim Shooter's giving us here.
Mm-hmm.
And very, very, pretty one-dimensional. I mean, people get killed, but this is a kind of good point I just noticed. Luornu, the now good duo damsel half, is talking about submitting Lilith to psychocare, and Lilith won't. She says, "Why should I? I have you as a safe refuge from the law. How could anyone punish half a person, half a legionnaire?" And so she's just going to merge her two selves together to escape any punishment.
Right.
And then she goes on to call Bouncing Boy, refer to him as Bouncing Boob, and that Namlor's going to kill him.
Yeah, I think she calls him fat somewhere here too. Yeah, very mean.
She's messed up. Yeah, she's got problems.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, this is where she calls him fat. The fat one's a threat. Squash him like a bug, Namlor.
Letting all her bottled up discontent come out maybe a little.
Yeah, subconsciously, I guess that means that Duo Damsel maybe only half likes Bouncing Boy.
She would have preferred Superboy, I guess, and she maybe she felt a little bit like she was settling, at least at first. And this is the less charitable half of her coming out.
But yeah, Bouncing Boy's trying to shoot Namlor. I don't know if they say it's a deadly weapon. I don't know if he's shooting to kill or not.
Who, Bouncing Boy?
Right. Surely he's not, but
no.
He's got a dangerous gun. But right. Now Lilith is commanding Namlor to fucking murder Bouncing Boy, and he has a steel grip.
It's got that great he dodges that blast by ripping a piece of the wall off and throwing it in front of him like a blanket. Don't think I've ever seen anyone pull that off before, but looks pretty cool.
Yeah, I like the coloring on this page. I like it. It's not quite right. Like there's a little bit too much brown in this, but I kind of like how I don't know, like the yellow, and I like the darkened figure in the foreground. Kind of cool. And then this pink burst is pretty good. And mine has a little bit of a misprint where his nose has a big glob of magenta on it, so he looks like he's drunk or something, I guess.
Something else I really like about Win Mortimer and possibly Jack Abel as well is how he simplifies the figures when he draws them small. There's just something really elegant about the way he does them. He doesn't overcomplicate them.
Yeah, it's hard to do that, isn't it?
Right. It's like they look great. He's an old hand at this, for sure.
Yeah, you think Win Mortimer's like one of those Golden Age guys? I don't really know anything about him. I think the only thing I have ever heard is that eventually he idolized Neil Adams and tried to draw like Neil Adams, and maybe he even worked at like continuity.
I think he goes further back, and I think he did a lot of strip work too. Maybe both before and after his DC stuff.
Yeah, that might also kind of account for this type of style kind of getting prominence, is that they were drawing like this in this newspaper strips, like this kind of hard edge look. I mean, I don't know how many like of the Real People kind of comic newspaper strips were still happening.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they began to kind of look like this stuff, real clip arty kind of look.
I'm trying to remember his bio. I think maybe he's a Hal Foster guy, but I could be that was one of his idols. But I guess that's probably a lot of the illustrators from that period.
Yeah, that's true. Namler's like, I cannot kill even for her. And Bouncing Boy is very surprised. He's like, what? But I thought you wanted to kill me. And then Namler just explains everything. That he has a radioactive aura that made her go evil, but he still loved her and was going to try and satisfy her, even though she was now evil. So he went evil, but now he can't keep up the charade anymore, and he's just going to leave. Oh, so to let the radiation wear off, and Bouncing Boy is he's kind of restraining Lilith, the evil duo damsel, for the time being.
Right. And as corny an ending as it is, I'm sort of in awe of how neatly and quickly they tie everything up in half a page, like 4 panels. Like the page previous, there's no hint that this is going to end. There's no hint that Namlor is a good guy. You feel like you're just halfway through it. And then within a couple of panels, we find out everything is just neatly tied up. Like he's got an aura that's temporarily making her evil. She'll be back to normal before you know it. He's leaving. Everything is just, it sort of abruptly ends, but they managed to tie everything up.
It's a feat, I think. The way they did it in so few panels and with such like brevity in the dialogue. Like if I was trying to explain all of this, I think you'd have to have like those panels would be all text and there'd be no drawings.
Yep.
Oh, this is a good pose of him. Like he's hurting, you know? He just seems like he doesn't know what to do and he's upset and he's in love and he's going to have to leave her. And then here too, he's like, I've got to go. I hope you forget me.
Sadly walking off.
Yeah, good. Just a silhouette of his dejected posture, hands balled into fists.
Yeah, and they don't even have a full page to do all that. Like there's an ad on the bottom.
That's why I think like they should have brought this guy back. Like he should have, like if he's that in love with her, he could undergo some kind of process to take away his stupid radiation or something even and fight, or get in between her and Bouncing Boy somehow.
Or at least it'd be an excuse to make her evil again for a little while.
Mm-hmm. Like maybe she doesn't need the radiation to get like evilly into this Namlor guy
Hmm.
and start calling Bouncing Boy a fat guy again. Uh, Anything else to say about the comic?
I mean, I'd love it if they had a 13-page backup in Superman right now. I mean, it's probably better than what they're getting regularly these days, which is like what, a limited series every 2 years.
Well, like this current one, they're not even the star, right? Justice League versus Legion of Superheroes
Right.
for 6 issues. Give me a break. But
Yeah.
they are supposed to be bringing him back again. I was just reading about this. Like it's in this Jeff Johns thing called Golden Age or something. It's not starring them. It's like I don't know. It's just this kind of nostalgia worship jack off thing. I think that Jeff Johns does.
It's a Jeff Johns thing.
I think so. Like I don't know what happened to Jeff Johns. Like why I thought he was in TV making millions of dollars, but I guess he's back at DC doing the same thing he did 20 years ago.
It is weird, like the way they approach the Legion now with Bendis. It's like they're less of an ongoing concern and more of a, like they become like a set piece or something. He doesn't want to change them too much because they're in the shape they're going to be on this new cartoon. Like it seems like they're thinking about them more as a brand, a property to apply to different things than characters that they would evolve and do anything new or interesting with. Well, that's my read on it. But
Yeah, I mean, it
also,
almost seems like he's taken them back to, Adventure Comics 247 days when they're just kind of like, it's just a thing that Superboy can be content knowing that there's these other heroes in the future, and once a year he'll meet two of them,
right, right.
and they won't have any personality except that they worship him.
Well, anytime, pretty much since Zero Hour, when they've tried to uh, update them, they always bring them back to being teenagers. And I guess you can only do so much with those characters before they're not teenagers anymore. You know, that puts some severe limitations on how much you can build, how much lore you can build if you've decided that they're never going to be less than 16 and more than 18.
You just have to add new ones all the time and rotate them out.
Right.
And they never
Right.
they never really tried to do that very much. Yeah. Anyway, I loved this comic. This was a real fun comic book, and yeah, artwork's good. The like the building of the lore and the kind of build up of the duo damsel character is pretty interesting. I wish they would follow it up with a little bit more Nam lore as time went on, but that's kind of the name of the game back then. Yep, good comic. Let's check out the letters page here. This is not the Legion Outpost. This is the Metropolis mailbag. I'm not going to read these boring ass Superman comments. It's Bridwell answering these letters.
I'm watching Dean Jones' What's It All About world on TV as I write this. This is a Superman one, but that kind of gives you an idea of the era we're in.
Yeah, when Dean Jones was a big star. I mean, he was a big star. He was in the movies, right? Parts of it were sort of sickening to a Superman fan like myself, but most of it was pretty funny. They showed Clark. He just wrote in to say what he saw on TV. Yeah. Okay, the next one's about the Legion. This is written in by Unsigned from Frankfort, Indiana.
Unsigned.
A mysterious unsigned letter writer. The unknown letter writer.
Do you think they wanted to be unknown, or do you think they're kicking themselves once they've read this? Like, damn it, I finally got in, but I forgot to put my name on it.
I bet they are. It was probably just some kid who forgot to write his name on it.
Right, right.
Legion has my congratulations. If you can get my father interested in it, it has to be good. This is kind of a funny letter. Like this dad stole his kid's comics and just read them. He didn't throw them out.
Yeah, this is like me and my son. He knows more about the Legion than any kid his age, I'm sure.
No kid knows anything about them, right?
Right?
Unsigned, Frankfurt, Indiana writes, Dear editor, the Legion has my congratulations. If you can get my father interested in it, it has to be good. About a week ago, I went to read some back issues of Adventure starring the Legion, and I found they weren't there. I looked for them and finally found my dad reading them. He said he liked them, and I could keep on buying them as long as he gets to read them. Thanks.
Son is probably 30 and dad's probably 70, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, you wouldn't want to throw away those adventure issues. Those are valuable.
The son would have to kick the dad out.
Next letter, Paul Decker, Oconomowoc, Wisconsin.
Is that a real place?
You telling me you don't know Oconomowoc?
I'm trying to figure out if it's a palindrome or not. No, I guess not.
No, it's a real place up there.
You've heard of it before?
Yeah. Up in Wisconsin, they're kind of like Native American derived places.
Like an indigenous name.
Yeah. And like they've got, drawn a blank. What's the one? Jack Benny's from one of them. From like,
Waukegan.
I think maybe Jack Benny is Waukegan, but the one I was thinking of was Waukesha. So you got Waukesha, Waukegan, Oconomowoc, Milwaukee, to name four.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, Paul Decker, he says, a few years ago, I created and sent to your magazine a character called Duplicate Boy. Since then, I've heard a lot about a hero by that name. I was wondering whether this was my creation.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. He might be owed something for the Duplicate Boy motion picture series. But the editor says no. According to our records, Duplicate Boy, who first appeared back in 1964, was created by Stephen Cohen, Newburgh, New York. Incidentally, he reappears in the next issue. I think it's cool that they have records of who created Duplicate Boy.
Right. So they'll know who not to pay.
Yeah. But like they knew that back then. Do they still know that? Do they still have these records? Of like, and like what other, you mentioned this another time, like what other of these characters are just fan generated from the letters pages?
Seems like quite a few, right? Like there was a stronger, like a collaborative process between the readers and the and the writers.
I mean, it's like, they had so much material coming out. I guess like you gotta get the ideas where you can, even if you steal it from the hands of a little kid.
Whereas now, I think they even like try to discourage, like, don't send us any ideas.
Oh yeah, they don't want unsolicited ideas anymore. I want them to start soliciting some ideas from me, though.
Probably make a lot better comics if they did.
Tim Justice, Newport News, Virginia, he writes about the character development in the Legion and how, he says the Legion stories have reached what I once thought was an unattainable quality in comics because of the personal feelings and emotions that the characters have. He cites Adventure 312, for example, when everybody was sad that Lightning Lad was dead and happy when he was revived. I mean, it's not that deep of a characterization, but yeah, he says that their Legionnaires willing to sacrifice their lives to restore Lightning Lad. That made it really interesting.
Yes. In contrast to the last issue we were reading the letter column of, it seems more evident here that these are more age-appropriate letters. Like these seem like younger fans, right? Even though he says he's read back since 312, he may, just have a stack that goes back a few years. Like this doesn't seem like it's a 26-year-old writing in.
Yeah, so Adventure would be up to about 385 or something now. So the difference of 312 up to 382 would be 70 months, which is 6 years. So yeah, he could have been 10 and now he's 16.
Yes. Or he, again, like, I mean,
He,
I don't think it's a new thing to like end up with comics that go back before you actually started reading them. Like someone, your older brother or someone gives you a stack.
that's true too.
Like,
I was just thinking he says my first issue was Adventure 12. So either
right,
way, yeah. But yeah, he seems young, but he seems pretty mature for this.
right.
But yeah, definitely not the old dudes that were in the Baxter
Right.
issue we were just talking about.
College kids or whatever.
Guys older than me, it seemed like.
Yeah.
But I'm only 28.
29, right?
That's right. I turned 29 last.
I'm only 39.
Uh, and he also points out the scene in Adventure 369 when Duo Damsel cried herself to sleep over Superboy. It's the human interest that makes you want to keep up with the Legion. Um, that's 369. That's not that long ago. A couple of years ago, year and a half ago, Duo Damsel was crying herself to sleep over Superboy. But she's got Bouncing Boy now.
Bouncing Boy and
Oh, Namlar. Yeah.
Namlar.
But I think Bouncing Boy, he saw his opening and he bounced right in there.
I guess sometimes it does pay off to be the friend.
He may be a corpulent combatant, but he's also a rotund romantic.
It's funny to me that the real reason, the real likely reason they ended up together was they were both deemed like two of like three or four Silver Age characters that were too silly to remain in the Legion. And by pairing them off, they can marry them off.
What a cynical point of view. I mean, you could be right, but I never thought of it that way. But yeah, that sucks.
Right. I think they were all too happy to get them both off the team. But they're two of my favorite characters, so I'm not a fan of the choice. But
Well, and also in their wedding issue, didn't like Duo Damsel get kidnapped by like fucking Starfinger?
yeah, it's bad, and he gets. It's very. They kind of emasculate Bouncing Boy in that because the Legionnaires with powers he stays back and he's at the mercy of the Legion to save his girl for him. Like there's no like stand back Legion. This is my wife. I'm going to go save her. He gets left behind while they go to save her, if I recall correctly.
That's lame. Like, who wrote that? Like, wouldn't you just have him save her? Like, figure out a way for Bouncing Boy to,
No.
or have her save herself, maybe?
Right.
Kind of lame.
Maybe I'm misremembering. I'm sure our viewers will be more than happy to correct my inaccuracies, my apocryphal memory.
In the description of all these videos, I always write that we're Legion experts, but basically the whole time was like, what happened? Who is that guy? But whatever.
It wouldn't be very entertaining if we actually knew what we were talking about. It would be like watching a Wikipedia entry. It's the fun is watching us misremember and inaccurately describe everything.
Yeah. We need to misremember it funnier, I guess, though. Work on that. Oh, the editor replies, that's why we insist on putting the human element foremost in our stories. By the way, Duo Damsel is back in this issue with the wildest split personality story you've ever seen. Oh, was split personality like a zeitgeist thing in 1969?
I feel like it would have been earlier, but I could be wrong.
Remember that thing Sybil? Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
I wonder when that came out. Like, that was a TV movie, but it must have been a book first. Maybe that came out and was huge.
I definitely think you're onto something with the Freaky Friday.
Oh yeah. Oh, I said Parent Trap. Freaky Friday.
Oh, I'm sorry. I get them mixed up.
Right? Were they both Haley Mills? I can't remember.
Freaky Friday is the one where they trade bodies, I think.
Yeah.
And
It's like a mother and daughter do it, right?
right, which is probably the plot of another Legion story. But
So the next letter is just asking about the title of the letters column. Um, this guy, Pete Winblad, Tacoma, Washington. His suggestion, since the Legion is now in action, ooh, boy, this is a bad suggestion. Metropolis, 20th and 30th centuries. That's the title for the letters page. Like we have Metropolis mailbag. They don't think that's good enough. How about Metropolis, 20th and 30th centuries? I can't even say it. It sucks. The editor says that's the dumbest suggestion we've gotten so far.
what are you, 10?
Yeah. He just says they're putting off deciding on the action letter column name until the fans suggest a better title for the adventure comics letter column. Yeah, they don't want to call any of them Legion Outpost anymore because I guess this is still a Superman mag technically.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know what they ever change it to.
I wonder if they ever did.
Probably not. This guy says the Bizarro calendar, the first day of the week was Sunday. It should have been Saturday since the Bizarros do things backwards. What? They showed the Bizarro calendar?
Leave it to the Bizarros.
So in case you ever wanted to know, first day of the Bizarro week is Sunday, not Saturday.
Those are great comics, man.
Yeah, but this isn't the real Tales of the Bizarro World anymore because those ended a long time ago.
Right.
Unless this is a reprint. Maybe they reprinted it.
John Forte would be passed away by now, right?
Yeah, this is 1969. He died in 1965.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he'd also stopped doing Tales of the Bizarro World. I mean, I think they did Legion and Bizarro kind of concurrently for a little bit.
Yeah, it was basically just a same team, different characters. They switched over, right?
Yeah. But see, then when
Siegel wrote a bunch of those as well.
Right, but when like Legion took over Adventure as the main feature, I bet they didn't do any more Tales of the Bizarro World at all, right?
No, it was like a 1-for-1 switch.
Yeah, that was Adventure 300 way back then. So I don't know. It's been a long time, I think, since Bizarro was a regular feature, but maybe this big forget story was I don't know, they brought him back. I don't know.
Well, yeah, but we're also coming out of that period where like every 6 or 7 issues they have a 100-page giant that just reprints a bunch of old stuff.
Right. My guess is he's talking about a reprint. That's for sure. And that's it. Action 380.